Thank you, Tom. This is Eric Toline sitting in for Ivan Berger, who normally sits in for Martin Gersten, who isn't here tonight to begin with. With me tonight, John Karlson of the KRC Corporation in Malvern, Long Island, and Ruben Gus, president of Argus X Electronics. They make the Argus X loudspeakers. We were talking about, just prior to airtime, Mr. Karlson's loudspeakers being used at the World's Fair. John, why don't you tell us a little more about that?
Well, currently our enclosures are being used in the Ford exhibit at the World's Fair, which is the largest one there, and also the GE. In the Ford exhibit, they're going to have the animatronics by Walt Disney.
Oh yes, I remember reading about that.
These animated figures with associated sound, and I suppose they go in for spectacular and whatnot. The same is true in GE. I understand they're going to exhibit thunder and lightning and everything else that is the fancy of the real hi-fi bug.
Well, will this be
they're using our the largest enclosures for that purpose, together with the Electro Voice 15 TRX speaker.
Well, will this be the type of coverage that you have here in your brochure, the ceiling mount?
No, these are much larger units than the ceiling units shown there. They're the full-fledged speakers, enclosures for 15-inch speakers, and they're designed to give the full dynamics that human ear can tolerate, plus the complete range of hearing, from the lowest bass tones to that of the highest, naturally.
Well, that's quite a pat on the back to have them choose your speakers.
Well, it's a strange thing that GE is having RCA install these speakers, and RCA is buying them from us.
Ruben, how about you? Any of your Argus speakers being used at the World's Fair?
No, my speakers are designed for music, not for thunder and lightning.
John, a question had arisen before about the Karlson enclosures. Someone had asked about an explanation of the Karlson enclosure. I myself would be interested in hearing about it.
Well, the Karlson enclosure was designed primarily to overcome a basic difficulty in the reproduction of sound with loudspeakers. Ordinarily, a loudspeaker depends upon its size to get air in motion. And in order to have the dynamics that we're speaking of, and the complete dynamic range, which exists not only for the highest level sounds, but the weakest level, we have to be able to move air very, very readily. And in order to do that, you have to have not just an ordinary speaker radiating the air, because it's very, very inefficient in doing so. It just floats at low frequencies. This direct radiator loudspeaker just floats through the air and actually doesn't succeed in getting a great amount of air in motion. What we do is provide a coupling device between the speaker and the air, which acts as an acoustic transformer. In other words, it might be analogous to a gear train in a car. That is, we have energy in one level in the engine. We have to transmit it to energy at another rate in the wheels. This steering mechanism enables us to do that, and we get the tight coupling between the speaker and the air through this device. It acts, in other words, almost like an air pump. And instead of having the speaker radiate directly into the air, it radiates into a special type of cavity which I have invented. And this cavity, in a sense, entraps the air so that it creates a greater pressure against the speaker than normal. In this way, when the speaker is acting against a greater pressure, it's able to get more air into motion. And this is really the secret of what we do. Now, the special shape that we use is something very, very unique in acoustics. As far as I know, it is the only acoustic device which is capable of being either universally resonant at all frequencies or non-resonant at any frequency. It's a true transformer.
It's like a politician.
I might say that. But it is capable, in other words, of taking the energy from the speaker in a much more efficient manner than ordinarily. The average speaker might have about 5% efficiency. Some might be as low as 1%. Ours range up to about 40%, speaking conservatively. Now, this is a fantastic difference. When you take complex transients, such as you might have in an orchestra, well, every instrument is clearly defined. You can pick out every single instrument in that orchestra.
Sounds like a novice.
Well, undoubtedly, you try to attain efficiency.
I do it a different way. I have efficiency too.
Well, efficiency is really the key. You have to be able to get air into motion. And we get a very realistic sound in the bass, and I feel that we have broken the major barrier to electronic organ bass, for example, where ordinarily the bass in electronic organ is mushy and percussive and indefinite as far as pitch goes, especially low bass notes. When our speakers are used with electronic organ, the bass notes are true to pitch. The electronic organ then becomes useful with a full complement of orchestral instruments or choral arrangements and so on. Notoriously, they have been left out of standard or authentic musical renditions because of their inability to get that accurate pitch in the low bass notes. Now, for stereo, that tapered opening has a rather beneficial effect in that it automatically disperses the highs in an extremely uniform manner. The net result is that you're able to sit just about anywhere in front of those speakers and get the full stereo effect. And this is one of the major deterrents to the acceptance of stereo. Frequently it's been lampooned on TV and magazines and other places that people have been required to sit in some very, very exact spot in front of speakers. In fact, I've actually experienced a case where if I moved my head about 1 inch, I went in and out of the stereo image.
That's right.
Well, with our units, you can walk about anywhere in the room and still get this stereo effect because of this dispersion.
Well, I know of one particular test for stereo effect that I have stumbled upon inadvertently.